Well, we've got ourselves a series again. It is the next day. It's the next morning, so it's not that long since this infamous choke job. The Knicks pulled a Philadelphia 76ers last night. It's oof. It's not like it's crazy. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Let's just get right into the intro. I don't want to waste any time in this show. Episode 675 of BD4 Knicks Sixers. Let's talk. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
U.S. trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding.
That is
It's over.
Don't you regret not coming to the net? Don't you regret not coming to the net?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right. Well, listen, I feel a little bit better because it's the next morning, but I can't really tell you that I feel that much better. It's so weird. You know, just a couple days ago, a week ago, I witnessed the best sports win. Yeah, the best sports win that I've ever seen. And then last night, I witnessed probably the worst sports loss that I've ever seen. It was remarkable. First and foremost, credit to Tyrese Maxey. I don't respect Joel Embiid. I think he's scum. I think he's a rodent and ugly fat ogre. A dirty piece of garbage. And he obviously wants to come to the Knicks, given his post-game presser. This guy's desperate to get out of that scumbag city. Now, I get it that Philly's trashy. I do respect one player on that team, and that kid's name is Tyrese Maxey. Before we even talk about this game, the dude is humble as hell. He's the only one I like on that team. And if I was watching last night's game as a basketball fan, wow, that dude's fucking impressive. That dude's impressive. And he is a superstar. I don't care what people say. You know, there was a point in time where Knicks fans were comparing Emmanuel Quickley to Tyrese Maxey. And that is just, I liked Quickley, but Jesus Christ. That dude's a star. That dude is a superstar, and that dude is going to win a championship one day if he's surrounded with better talent. Probably multiple championships. That aside, this was a terrible loss for the Knicks. If I came on here last night and started recording right after the game, I'd probably tell you the Knicks are not coming back from this. Because choke jobs like this usually don't end well. But listen, closeout games, elimination games are tough. Because the other team's kind of without pressure. Their backs are already against the wall. It's like, well, we kind of expect to go home at this point, so they're playing stress-free. Especially a game like last night. It's at Madison Square Garden after all the garbage and drama that took place in Philly. Philly's coming into this one thinking, all right, well, give it all we got. And then to let them get a little bit of confidence back now, the Knicks are playing with all the pressure in the world now. This is on the Knicks. The good news is this game, game 6, will be at MSG South tomorrow night. So they're going down to South Jersey to play in front of a bunch of Knicks fans. That's the positive, that Philly sports fans are pathetic and they are tiny and don't exist. But the Knicks were home last night and they lost the game. And if the Knicks don't find a way to win this series, I just don't know how serious I can take them going forward. And the good news is they have 2 opportunities to get it done. The bad news is it's going to be very difficult to do this. I think you poke the bear a little bit. I probably got ahead of myself being all cocky. I'm an asshole. That's what I do. When my sports teams are going well, I take every bit of that and I become a pompous piece of shit. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. You know, I wanted to come on here and talk about this amazing win and all the crazy efforts and contributions and performances and all the crazy sequences and moments from last night down the stretch, you know? Like, I wanted to come on here and talk about OG Anunoby and Deuce McBride going coast to coast off of back-to-back turnovers there in the 4th. Or Maxey missing a bunch of free throws late. One of them turning into OG Anunoby knocking down a mid-range, and the Brunson and one crossover late. Mitchell Robinson picking Maxey's pockets, Embiid's pockets, and Josh Hart with a big stop and defensive rebound under the basket on Batum. And then, of course, the what we all thought was the dagger by Deuce McBride with the jumper off the nail to go up 6 with 30 seconds left. And then from there, it was, well, it could be history. The Knicks lose in overtime, 112-106 last night. And everything that you saw, wasted. Brunson's 40 points, wasted. Tyrese Maxey goes for 46 points. Unbelievable performance from him down the stretch. But like these poor starts to the first quarters, that it can't keep happening. Every single game outside of maybe one game of this 5-game series so far has been where the Knicks gotten off to a good start. They haven't gotten off to good starts, and that's going to have to change. They're going to have to find a way to turn defense to offense because they've not been doing that at the top of games. And they just need more contributions from some of these guys. Like, it's been a rough series for Josh Hart got off to a good start, but he's kind of come back down to earth in the half court. Donte DiVincenzo's had a rough series. Isaiah Hartenstein's not had a good series. The Knicks going to have to get back to their identity. They were hurt badly on the glass last night. The offensive rebounding was awful. They lost the second chance points battles. They lost the offensive boards 12-6. That's not Knicks-like. I thought late in the game, their half-court offense, their decision-making, it was awful. Poor shots, poor possessions, awful turnovers. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby. The foul shooting was awful. And I guess we can start there. Because they call them free throws for a reason, folks. That shouldn't happen. That should never happen. You're a professional NBA player. The Knicks went 16 for 24, 67%. I shouldn't even give them the round. They were 66.7% because they were so pathetic. In the fourth quarter, they were 6 out of 10. 60%. Or fourth quarter and overtime combined. Mitchell Robinson, okay, he's not supposed to make free throws, but it hurts. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson. Mitch 1 0 for 2. Hart was 3 for 5. OG was 1 for 2. Brunson was 6 for 9. In the fourth quarter, just under 8 minutes left, the Knicks are up a point. Josh Hart misses the free throw following the N1. With a minute left in the fourth quarter, the Knicks are up 5 points. OG Anunoby misses 1 out of 2. And then 15 seconds left. The Knicks are up 2 points. Hart has a chance, but he misses 1 out of 2. And you get to overtime. A little less than a minute and a half left. The Knicks are down 4 points. Embiid commits the flagrant foul when he whacks Jalen Brunson on the head, because that's what he does. He's a dirty scumbag rodent. And Brunson misses 1 out of 2. This has been, it feels like it's been a problem for years, because I feel like I've always come on the podcast bitching about foul shooting. Clean it the fuck up. I've always thought that there's no reason that Jalen Brunson should be anything less than a 90% shooter at the foul line. Just like considering how good he is in the mid-range, considering how good he is from 3, there's no reason this guy should be consistently 80%, maybe a couple points better. There's no reason for that. He's way too good of a shooter to be missing free throws at this rate. He's less than 80% this postseason. It's been bad. You can't, again, they call them fucking free throws. You're leaving points off the board 8 times last night. 16 to 24. 8 misses at the foul line. From guards. Can't happen. We can talk about these critical mistakes defensively in the game. You know, there were a lot of them. The Knicks defense just not sharp. Not sharp at all. At points in the game. All game, like the Knicks were helping on Embiid post-ups with Maxey 1 pass away on the strong side. Didn't quite understand that. You know, and to make matters worse, like, they weren't pre-rotating off the help either. I just didn't get it, because Embiid had an awful night. He's looked awful physically. And the Knicks did pretty well when they decided to stay home or pre-rotate and abandon the weak side corner. So it's like they did well when they forced Joel Embiid to make those cross-court passes. So I thought they should have stuck with that scheme, because Maxey's really been the only impressive Sixer. At least last night he was. But the Knicks sending early help strong side with Maxey as the guy 1 pass over just didn't make any sense to me. He's been the best player in the series. You're in game 5. You don't know that yet? You know, there were a number of times in the fourth quarter overtime where you get the high ball screen for Maxey. He's coming off at full speed with Deuce at his hips, and there's no weak side rotation. Cheat off Harris or Tobias and on the weak side corner. Cheat and rotate. It was stupid, unintelligent defense. You know, fourth quarter comes, 25 seconds left, and that's when you get the first, oh fuck, this might be bad. The Knicks are up 6 points, and then you get the Mitchell Robinson play. Maxey comes off the high screen, shoots the 3 and 1, knocks down the free throw, and the Knicks lead is cut down to 2. Mitchell Robinson fouls him there. It drew me insane. At the same time, are you shocked that Mitchell Robinson fouled him? Because Mitchell Robinson, as much as we like him, he's always had these low IQ moments. And he is now, 6 years into the league? And he's still making rookie mistakes. I don't think that's ever going to change. It reminds me so much of, I don't know if there are any Yankees fans who listen to my show, but it reminds me of Gleyber Torres. He's like becoming a veteran of the game, and he's still making dumb mistakes. So Mitchell Robinson commits a foul that you just cannot commit. And then it's not over there because you got 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter. The Knicks are up 3 points. Maxey comes up off the screen again, knocks down a three with Mitch back. Now there's a lot of conversation. Should the Knicks have fouled? I had no problem with them playing it straight up. However, if you go back and you watch the play again, I didn't realize at the time, but I saw this on Twitter. Tibbs, he wanted to foul. He was screaming in Dukes McBride's ear, clapping his hands, screaming his head off, foul, foul, foul. The Knicks did not foul. They needed to foul. If your coach is telling you to foul, you have to follow through with that. I don't know if they couldn't hear him, but it hurt. The worst case, if you foul there, Philly knocks down 2 free throws, and the Knicks are still up 1 point with the ball, and they could advance because they've got a timeout. Philly had 0 timeouts, so they couldn't advance the ball even after that potential Knicks possession. So if your coach is telling you to foul, you got to fucking foul. Yeah, Mitch was back. He was in a drop. Why was Mitch in a drop? Philly needed a 3-pointer. Why are you playing in a drop coverage? That maddened me. That maddened me more than the non-foul. I get some of it is instinct. You know, Mitchell Robinson is uncomfortable guarding the perimeter. But you got to take away his airspace. You got to come to the level. I can't get around. Like, I can't reason here. That had to be a different coverage. If you blitz the pick and roll, okay, so what? Embiid's the outlet for 2. Or you hedge it and recover. Or you just simply come to the level. Because the worst case, Mitch comes up and you get a Maxey blow by for 2 points, and the Knicks, again, they're up 1 with the ball. But he's in a drop coverage. I did not understand that. Some people are upset that Mitchell Robinson was in the game at all down the stretch there. Because, again, he's a low IQ player sometimes. And Isaiah Hartenstein's the more disciplined player. That's kind of ironic because iHeart has had foul problems all series. But I was actually thinking the moment that happened, I wanted to see Precious Achiuwa in there for that possession. Just because he's probably the most disciplined big the Knicks have. And he's very switchable 1 to 5. So he can take on Maxey. As we've seen, we just saw that in Game 4. So there were a lot of question marks at the end there that you could question Tom Thibodeau, the Knicks. But that game should have never went to overtime. And then, the next time down after that second 3 by Maxey at the end there, Brunson in the final seconds gets blocked by, I think, Nick Batum. So that's another question. Like, why not call a timeout there? Why not draw up an ATO set? An off-ball set? A sideline out of bounds set? Because Brunson screwed up big time down the stretch. He had a few clutch baskets in the fourth quarter. Overtime, he started off well. But he also had some terrible decision-making. Just forced misses in isolation, bad turnovers, stagnant offense. He wasn't passing the ball, wasn't trusting the pass. Like, that's one of Tibbs' mantras. Trust the pass. But he was forcing shots. He had that terrible jump pass turnover to Isaiah Hartenstein on the baseline. And that's like, if the Knicks don't go on to win this series, my God, that's going to be 2 years in a row now where Brunson commits a really bad turnover late in the game. I don't think Knicks fans have forgotten about Game 6 in Miami. Fuck. Now, I understand, like, modern NBA, late in the game, today's game, defenses switch everything. And when the Sixers did send help with 2 on the ball, Brunson was passing all game. I was about to come here and talk about how brilliant Brunson was at hitting the pocket off the help last night. You know, the short roll, those pocket passes to Josh Hart and Isaiah Hartenstein at the nail. He was executing that super efficiently. So when they did send help, the Knicks, Brunson was efficient with it. But there were also moments down the stretch of the game where the Knicks tried to generate offense elsewhere from the top, and it just did not work. There was a lot of miscommunication. They were spamming directionless DHO sets. So I look at these possessions down the stretch where Brunson just missing shot. I look at it as like stealing third base, right? You love when it works. You give the credit and you praise the guy. But when it doesn't work and when you make that last out at third base, man, you get shit. And Brunson's entire New York Knicks tenure, Knicks fans have been showering him with love and respect for making those big isolation baskets down the stretch games. I don't think that any of us were bitching and moaning when he knocked down those first 2 shots in overtime to put the Knicks up 5 points. First shot, he comes off the pick and roll with Mitch, pulls for 3. Second shot, he comes off the pick and roll with Mitch, gets downhill, finishes. At the same time, I'm struggling to like fully get on board with that because I do see the other side of it where it's just too predictable. It doesn't, like just because the Sixers were running a similar offense, and they were doing the same thing. Like what the Knicks were doing with Brunson and Hartenstein, pick and roll into isolation, the Sixers were doing with Maxey and Embiid. At the same time, this is where I'm like, I can't decide whether or not it was stupid or something you got to live with because, yeah, it was too predictable. Like, you made it very easy for the Sixer defense in the half court to defend you. There was no movement. It was a lot of late clock offense. And there were times in this game in the fourth quarter where Brunson was trying to get the mismatch, but he was ignoring other mismatches. Like, you had Anunoby posting Maxey. And Anunoby all series has done a nice job creating offense in the mid-post. Also, if we're going to ISO, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, in the final minute of the fourth quarter and the rest of the way, the entire overtime period, Tyrese Maxey had 5 fouls. So I thought if you're going that way and you're isolating with Brunson, you should have attacked the switch more. You should have brought Deuce McBride into the action for the guard screen to screen the switch. Get downhill, attack Tyrese off the dribble, come off pick and roll, get that switch. Get the 6th foul. But he just took some terrible shots. He took that terrible 3 at the top of the key with Tobias on him. 7 seconds left on the clock. I just, I get it, but I felt like they overdid it late in the game. I felt like they overdid it. Because during the game, Brunson had 40 points. He's figured it out. He had a couple bad games at the top of the series, but he's figured it out. He's got the Tobias switch working for him. He's like that. He's went to it and it's worked. He's attacking Joel Embiid on the empty side. That's been working. He did that a number of times last night. He's been doing that all series. Force Embiid and Paul Reed to guard the screen with no strong side help. Or the Knicks would, they'll align a shooter one pass away. So when Brunson comes off the side pick and roll, that eliminates the help because you got to glue the shooter. So they've been finding ways to generate offense for him. I just think they overdo it down the stretch. But guys got to chip in. And one of the guys who has not chipped in much this series is Donte DiVincenzo, the big ragu. He hits the game 2 miracle shot. He scores 19 points in that game. He goes 4 for 8 from 3. And I'm going to be forever thankful for that. I fucking ordered a t-shirt because of that. But outside of game 2, he's been a ghost. 8 points on 10 shots in game 1. 5 points on 7 shots in game 3. 8 points on 11 shots in game 4. Last night, 9 points, 10 shots. He was 1 for 7 from 3. I was a little bit concerned about this because in the regular season, Donte DiVincenzo was a 3-point chucking machine, and it was working very efficiently. But he was very 3-point heavy, where like he doesn't do a ton of other things in the half court. He doesn't take a ton of mid-range attempts. He doesn't post. He'll do he'll run an occasional empty side pick and roll. But he's not great at the basket. And in the playoffs, defenses are going to defend you differently. It's going to be tighter. They're going to take away your airspace. They're going to force you to attack closeouts. And Donte has been very reckless and uncomfortable, seemingly, when he's attacking closeouts. And then defensively, I feel like he's too small to guard the wing, right? Tibbs has all season been hesitant to put Donte at 3. So Harris, Oubre, I don't know if he's going to be able to take that on. But he's also not quick enough to guard Maxey. His weakness all regular season, we've talked about this a bunch, has been his defense at the point of attack. However, you saw in the third quarter, Tom Thibodeau did make the adjustment by putting Donte on Maxey. And he had some solid moments. But it's both ends right now. Just like they need his shooting. And with Bojan Bogdanovic being done, Donte now becomes more important than he ever did because the Knicks are going to need that gravity. They're going to need that spacing as much as possible. And the only Knick on the floor this series who has done both a nice job on Maxey and been knocking down 3-point shots has been Deuce McBride. Because it seems like Nick Nurse has figured out the Maxey on Hart matchup. Hart, there was a number of times last night where he was just giving Maxey his right hand way too often. Giving him his right. And on the other end for Josh Hart, his shooting has regressed to the mean as we expected. They're letting him take the open threes and now he's not knocking them down. But it's been so bad for Donte DiVincenzo. I started thinking about it last night. Like, do the Knicks... Like, I don't know if it's going to happen next game, but if it gets as bad to where we have to go to 7 games, do we see Deuce McBride starting at the 2? But, like, I don't want to wait. Like, maybe you should go to McBride a little bit earlier in these first quarters. Deuce has been knocking down shots, and he's been defending Tyrese very well. He did a nice job last night pre-switching onto Maxey at the top. Excuse me. He did a nice job last night pre-switching onto Maxey at the top of each set. Maybe you get Precious in there. Expand the rotation to 8. Precious is very capable of switching everything. Listen, like this 7-man rotation we're running out there, it's tough. It's tough. I don't know how sustainable a 7-man rotation is going to be because the way the Knicks are playing, they are busting their ass. Brunson is laboring out there. Him and Hart play the entire damn game. You got a short rotation that just became even shorter with the Bojan injury. These guys are tired. It's been a long, taxing series, both physically and mentally. And like, I just don't know how sustainable it is, especially with you potentially have the Indiana Pacers coming up, who are a track team. The way they play ball, they're a full court, run, high pace game. So I don't think Tibbs is going to go to Burks. He's obviously not going to go to Jericho or fucking Milton, but like maybe you do go 8 with Precious, or 7.5. Like, I don't love the Precious minutes at the 4. I get terrified of the offense, especially when Josh Hart is also out there with 2 bigs. And Hart's going to be out there the majority of the game, if not all. But, like, maybe just for, if you look at 7.5 man rotation, which, like, Precious for just a few minutes here and there, just because the Knicks can hold it down defensively in that lineup, and it gives the starters a breather. Because they are really, really, really playing it close here. They are one more injury away from being totally fucked, and it doesn't matter who it is, just because you need bodies. One more injury away from being fucked. This episode is going to get buried. But on YouTube. Like, this is why, like, I'm not going to get into all this right now, but, like, this is why these Devin Booker rumors, like, take it serious. Every Knicks fan should be in on this, by the way. Like, no Knicks fan should be like, oh, I love my team. I want this. No. We are in the modern NBA. And I understand, like, star power only doesn't win you a championship. Look at the Phoenix Suns. They tried to do it that way. But, like, at the same time, chemistry only doesn't win. You have to have a blend of both chemistry and star power. And the Knicks have the chemistry, but they don't have enough top-end talent. So, like, you're seeing, like, these games, if you watch these games, it's clear that the Knicks need more star talent. So that's a different conversation for another day. But point being, like, it's going to be tough. Even if the Knicks do find a way to advance, I can't imagine them making a deep playoff run this season. It might be hard to get to the Eastern Conference Finals if they get there to the second round, just because of this very, very short rotation and how taxing everything is. Like, they have to work so hard to get some of these wins. And they are conditioned for the moment. I get that. But every team they're going to run into has 2 stars, right? Pretty much. Boston, Philly, Milwaukee. Like, you go to the West, every team today has 2 stars. The Knicks are without Julius, but they need another guy. And eventually we're going to figure that out. For those of you who think this is the team, you still need more. So we're going to head to our final break. I think that's all we have. And then when we get back, we'll wrap it up with our trivia. Stay with us. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hey there. Thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much. You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4. If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
All right, welcome back to the show, episode 675 of BD4. Thanks for tuning into the podcast so far. You are listening to BD4, maybe you're watching BD4. Regardless, I appreciate it. Let's wrap this up with our trivia. I'm done. Okay. We have a true or false for you in this one. True or false, the Knicks are up 3-2 in this series. Is that true or false? Folks, it's okay. It's okay. Well, I'll tell you what, man. If the Knicks don't win on Thursday, tomorrow, they have fucking... It might be over. I think... I think tomorrow... And it's going to be tough tomorrow. You know, maybe Philly fans do show up a little more. There are only 12 of them, but maybe 24 show up. Maybe they double it. But they're going to have to figure this shit out. Trying to find the positives here. They are up 3-2 in the series, so that's what I got. You know, I appreciate you all tuning in. I'm going to wrap this up here. We're about 37 minutes in. So thank you all for tuning in. And I'll see you in 676, where we'll probably be talking. That'll be Knicks or Yankees, depending on which I get to first. It'll either be Knicks Sixers game 6 or Yankees Orioles, which has not gone well so far. As I'm recording, it's all Baltimore so far. They've won the first 2 games. There are 2 more games of this series that start. I think today is another 6:30, and then that's tonight. And then I think Thursday might be an afternoon game. So we'll see. But that's it for the Knicks. Knicks lose to the Sixers again. Final score 112-106 in overtime. Awful game. But the good thing is we get to go back to MSG South, and we're up 3-2. So we'll see. Appreciate you all. I'll see you the next show. This episode was brought to you by Anchor. For me, yeah.
Hey there!
Talked about it
If you
yesterday.
stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks!